Welcome to Builds with Blocks, a show centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, and I'm joined by Gabe Clem.
Hey, guys.
Tom Fishenden.
Yo.
And today we're joined by a very special guest, Ian, a.k.a. Toa Freak, owner and operator of one of the best lore channels on YouTube, Halo Canon.
It's my absolute pleasure to be here, guys.
So Ian has joined us for a deep dive discussion about collecting Mega Construx. Last episode, we did some speculation about what we want to see later on this year. So today we thought it'd be fun to look back on kind of the years and just from a different perspective about collecting. So, I guess all of us have been collecting at various rates. I'm newer. Tom's been there from the beginning. Gabe's been there from the beginning. And it sounds like Ian has been a little bit interested in the beginning, but then not so much because of the quality factor that a lot of people talk about with Mega. Yep. So it'll be interesting to have that conversation. Then, some lore stuff, obviously. Want to talk about all that good stuff. But before we dive into the main topic, let's go around the table and talk about what we've been doing on the block front. I'm going to start with Tom. What have you been into?
To say that. I was just sat here like, oh, what have I done?
Spending money, right? Wallet's empty again.
I've pre-ordered a lot of things. Yeah, I got the chopper set that comes with Escherum and Fred, which I'm quite excited about. I've got that pre-ordered. Nice. I pre-ordered the latest lot of heroes, so the set that comes with Hyperius.
Okay, and then that just dropped recently. Well, I guess by the time we record this.
Yeah, it literally went up before we recorded this, and we all kind of buckled in line to pre-ordering it. And then I've spent a lot of money on Jurassic this month, so my wallet is stinging. But
every episode, it's Tom saying, "Oh, my wallet." We always try to talk you down, man, and you never listen.
You got to be more convincing, Gabe, and you got to do a better impression as well.
All right. Why don't we go over to you, Gabe? How about you?
Well, just today. Well, all right, but I have to remember we send these out later. Today, I picked up, or I guess confirmed the order for an Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go pick it up this Saturday. I'm going to go have lunch with my brother. The way it worked was he made an order at Best Buy Monday, and they didn't process it for like 3 days. So he was like, "Okay, it's probably it's probably done with." And Target restocked and sent him an email, and he placed an order, and they processed it like the same day. So he went and picked it up, and then Best Buy emailed him back and was like, "Oh, hey, we processed your order. Here you go." And he was like, "Hey, Gabe, do you still need an Xbox?" I was like, "Do I paint figure? Yeah, I need an Xbox." So now I need to drive up to his house and go pick it up, and I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I bet.
What are you rolling with right now? Do you have a series, or what was it before? Just the X?
I have
the One X.
I have an original Xbox One from 2013.
Same here.
Wow.
Yeah, so like. This will be my third Xbox console like ever.
Oh wow!
I had the Halo 4 Xbox 360 was the first Xbox I ever had, and then this one, and now I'm going to Series X, and I'm ecstatic.
Congrats, man!
Aside from that, I got 4 more Elite Warlords from Halo Heroes Series 13.
The collection grows. I love it.
Yeah, so now I've got 6. I got 1 sealed, 1 custom, and 4 standard, and I'm really, really happy about it. Just like Tom, I have the pre-order for the chopper coming in. When is that, Tom? That's in a few days, isn't it?
Yeah,
June 2nd
it's
or
meant
something.
to be the start of June, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed back by a little bit.
That's true. But for those watching, make sure to... I'm sure Tom will give us a good review of that set, so make sure to check that out. But yeah, that about wraps it up. I got Warlords, I have a chopper coming, a new Xbox.
Cool.
I'm super happy.
Nice. Awesome. So, Ian, I'm going to go to you because I got a little show and tell. So I'll
All
go
right.
last. Ian, how about you? Have you picking up any sets or anything lately, or just any general Halo stuff that you picked up?
I did recently pick up the Elite General little figure and a bunch of those. Like I went out and bought, I think 12 each of those like random packs or whatever whatever the proper name is for those.
Blind bags, we call them.
Yeah, the blind bags. Because like, okay, I'm getting the Pelican, I'm getting that damn Banished Phantom, and whatever else comes with it all. Which I managed to get those two. Those were and that was the victory because I never got the what was it, the cruiser or
there was
the carrier.
There was the Forward Unto Dawn, and then there was a cruiser. And
so did you do the thing where you were checking like Reddit for the numbers, and then you were looking at the bags, or did you just grab a bunch of bags and get lucky?
I didn't. I've never heard about this numbers thing. You're gonna have to tell me after the show.
We have to tell him.
Because I just grabbed 12 bags. It's like, okay, there's 6 figures, so I'll just grab double whatever I need, and hopefully I'll get the figures I actually want.
Okay,
I got most of the ones I wanted, But
do you realize, like, he has the pleasure of being just like he doesn't stress about the numbers. He just gets to walk in and have the excitement of grabbing the bags. And every time we go in, we have to search through all of them and go.
Well, until today,
I'll take the numbers
until today. So, Ian, if you look at the bag.
Wow.
You can see a little imprint. They stamp a little imprint on one of the corners, and that coincides with the figure that is in the bag. So so somebody is going to get a hold of these early, and they'll post it on Reddit or whatnot, or on our website. I know when we do our reviews, we post all the numbers. So you can look at the numbers, and then it'll tell you exactly what's inside that bag, instead of having like feel it or crumple it or just cross your fingers.
Actually, funny story.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it's kind of funny talking about feeling it in the bags. When I was checking out, the lady at Target, because I went to Target for this, funny enough, she was talking about how like kids would go to these blind bags and like, oh, I know I have this one by the feel or something.
Yep.
Oh, that's adorable.
So there are other brands though. I don't know if Mega is unique to the codes. I think some other brands do it. Some brands don't. I don't think Lego does any codes at all for their blind bags. So those are truly blind. But Mega does help you out a little bit with a little number, which is nice.
Yeah. For those hardcore collectors. But yeah, I definitely want to get that chopper when it comes out, and I still need to get an Xbox myself. I finally got a PS5. It's right back here.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah,
hey,
I don't know if y'all saw this. I was like, one day I was stressing, like I keep trying to get an Xbox, and I kept failing, and then all of a sudden a PS5 notification comes because I got this app that lets me know when a site restocks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I can't get an Xbox, but I got a PS5.
Hey,
there you go.
Awesome.
Ready for the next gen stuff. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I want to get the PS5 eventually and just go through all that exclusive stuff.
Yeah. I haven't unboxed it yet because there's still some other games I'm playing at the moment, but it's like I'm glad to have it for when I'm ready.
Exactly.
That's like gold dust behind you right now.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so I'll go. So I've been putting this off for a while. I haven't done a whole lot on the block front. I've pre-ordered some stuff and all that, but haven't really been building lately. But I've been talking about doing a box opening for the Best Buy little Halo box. So I'm just going to do it right now instead of doing my own thing. So that's the hat that came with it. So this is the reason that I bought it right here, is that I was looking at, there's Target had an exclusive, Walmart, Best Buy, there might have been a fourth one somewhere. But Best Buy seemed to have the most of what I wanted to have, so including this hat, which I'm into. And then here, I'll just show you the box here. So here's the box.
There you go.
I did open it just to, there's kind of the back with all the stuff in there. So I'll just kind of take everything out real quick, one by one, so you guys can see my cool socks that I got.
Were they $45?
I was not ready for that sentence today.
Yeah, the cool socks that I got.
Right. So here's the coffee mug, which I'm into.
Nice.
Oh.
I
very
like that.
Cool little chiefy boy there. And the color's a little lighter green than what I'd want, but it's okay. It's all right. The only issue with the coffee mug is I like to microwave my coffee, and this one says don't microwave or dishwash it, so that's a little bit of a bummer. I'm sure it's just because of the paint applications. It'll peel off. So
rebel against the system. Microwave it, then dishwash it. Don't even put any liquid in it.
Do them both, and then it'll be fine.
That could be a video.
Whatever.
I
do what I want.
Here's the aforementioned socks that I got. I don't know if you can see them very
those are
well,
actually pretty. Those are pretty nice.
Yeah,
they kind of like more like dressy socks, I guess. But I'll try them out. They do John or the 117 on the front. I don't know if you can see that well, but so those are all right. Let's see here. We got a little phone holder. I don't know if I'll use this at all. I don't know if you guys use phone holders. Like it's a thing where you kind of slip in your fingers in the back of it, so it'll stick to your case.
That's cool.
And then you kind of so it's for help with like texting and things like that. So I don't know if I'll use that. Let's see here. We'll do this now. Here's the sword that you get.
That's cool.
That's pretty nice.
Yo, I dig that.
Yeah, and it does come out, which is kind of cool.
That.
So if you want to wield this,
what scale is that? Is it about 1/6?
Yeah, we'll go with that. All right, and then a couple more things, quick. So we got the little pins here, which are decent. Was that is that a mongoose in there? Yeah.
Yeah, mongoose.
Mongoose, and then a chief. You can see the chief on the side.
Okay, I was curious what they have. So what is that? Is that like some weird perspective on the elephant? No, it's just a
right, exactly. And then this is actually pretty nicer than what I thought. This is a little print.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, that is nice.
Out, so sorry for the glare, but yeah.
Sweet.
Looks good. This could, wall worthy. You could throw a little frame around this thing and put it somewhere.
Yeah, that's a really nice little box. To be fair, you get kind of like something for everyone in it.
Yeah, and it was I think $40, so pretty good value for all the stuff.
And there's multiple kinds of those, isn't there? There's like a Target one, a Best Buy one.
Yeah, he said at the start. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, so it's worth checking out. Find the one that you want. If you're a hardcore collector, get them all, right? But I'm sure there's some combination that you might want for the money. Worth checking out. All right, let's get into the main topic of the show. As we mentioned, Ian is here to talk about kind of perspective on the Mega Construx over the years. But let's do a little bit of a overview, I guess, of who Ian is and Halo Canon. If you've seen some of his other stuff, he's actually, Ian, you've been on other podcasts before, so I'm sure you've been through the, the who you are and where did you come from questions. So if you've seen those, we'll just kind of do an abbreviated version. But give us kind of your first, memories of Halo. We usually start there.
I remember it very clearly. I stumbled upon the trailer for Halo 2, specifically it was like the 30-second TV spot that ends with the Prophet of Truth saying, "There are those who said this day would never come. What have they to say now?" And I had no idea what it was. It was just this game, like, Halo 2, what the hell is this? And by winter, either of that year, because that was 2004, so it was either winter 2004 or the start of 2005, somewhere around there. Went up to a buddy of mine because my family did not allow consoles in the house. Not for any gaming's evil, but because it's a distraction, which is valid. It absolutely was the second they allowed it.
Fair play.
Yeah. And I said, "Hey, have you heard this thing? It's like Halo or something." He pulls out Halo 2, and so we start playing. And I was the guy who said, "So the green guy, that's Halo?"
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. And long story short, a few hours later, I betrayed him with a tank, and I got addicted to team killing. So.
Yeah. Nice. I love it.
Can relate to that.
So Halo 2, I Love Bees. Were you aware of that at all?
No, not back in the day. I didn't find out about I Love Bees, I think, until like 2010 or something.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. It might have been earlier, but like really not for years later. And,
have you done
Have you done a deep dive on that? I have not yet. Fun fact though. Back in 2014, probably before Halo 2 Anniversary had been formally announced, I started writing up a script for an analysis of I Love Bees, and that opened with all the news of H2A, like all these rumors and whatever, it's probably never going to happen, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about I Love Bees. And then that script never got finished, and then like a month later, Halo 2 Anniversary and the Master Chief Collection were announced.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. I mean, I might still revisit this script, but I got to completely rewrite that opening.
Yeah, right.
So it's definitely something I want to finish in someday, because I Love Bees is so damn good.
It's super interesting. Good. Yeah. All right. So what else were we going to kind of dig in on? Oh, yeah. So Halo Canon. So when did you start Halo Canon? And I guess when did you start getting interested into the lore side of things?
Yeah. I was interested in lore for Halo from the beginning. Like, lore has been my bread and butter for just about anything I've been into my entire life. My dad was a huge comic nerd, and that just kind of transferred over to me. I was into Star Trek, Star Wars, all the old DC animated shows, Bionicle, of course.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, but and of course, once I found out about Halo, like I said, my parents didn't allow consoles in the house. So, except when I was going over to a friend's house to play, or they brought their console over on the weekends or something. Lots of fun LAN parties, by the way.
Yeah.
My only other way to engage with the franchise was, as I would find out, probably I think the next year, like 2006 or so, was through the books. And a different friend who happened to be into Halo showed me, he was like reading Ghosts of Onyx at the time. So yeah, 2006, and he started lending me the books that existed at the time, which of course there were only the three, or only the four. But
yeah, you could practically memorize them when there were only three.
Yeah,
yeah, really.
Yeah, and funny thing, I actually lost his copy of Halo the Flood. I don't know whatever happened. Yeah, so funny. I went out. I bought Halo First Strike and bought him a replacement copy of the Flood. Finished it up, returned it, and said, "Hey, I'm so sorry I lost this. Here's a replacement," and eventually got the rest of the books. But
nice.
That started my love with Halo's lore, and then 2012 is when I actually started doing YouTube, because at the time there was no dedicated lore channel for Halo. There was a niche, and I decided, well, I might as well be the one to fill it. And I'd seen that niche for years, and no one was jumping on it, so I just decided eventually, let's do it.
In 2012, so that's around Halo 4 time, and so that's when a lot of the lore was kind of changing. So from all the Flood focus to the Forerunner focus, so that was a good time to dive in on that stuff.
Oh yeah, my very first video was a review of Halo: The Thursday War. It's cringy as hell, but that's it.
That book that's one of my favorite of that series, and I remember like just the title and the art never did it for me. So I was like, what is this book? But once you dive in, like it's pretty good. It's pretty meaty.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of the ones I've actually read as well. Ian, don't hate me. I'm sorry.
I never hate on people.
So let's talk about your beginnings with construction sets. So, most people had Lego beginnings, and I know you have Bionicle. It took me a while to figure out the Toa Freak thing, but that has history in Bionicle, right?
Oh yeah, back in, God, I think I was about 12. So yeah, so that had been like somewhere around 2002, 2003. I was out of grade school, and my parents couldn't send me to a daycare center anymore, so they wanted me to do something over the summer. They didn't want me to just sit at home all day while they were at work. And our local community college did like programs that you could send your kids to keep them busy during the day and whatnot. And one of the things that I signed up for, among so many others, was web design. And we needed to, as part of that class, create a GeoCities site. I don't even know if GeoCities is still around, but anyway, I of course did Bionicle because I was hardcore into it at the time, and I'm like, okay, what do I name my site? How about I like the Toa? How about Toa Freak 27? I don't remember where the 27 came in.
Yeah,
I don't know if I thought there's got to be already a Toa Freak, and I'll just preempt that or something. Who knows? But yeah, eventually that just got shortened to Toa Freak, but that's where that started.
That's amazing.
But then
I actually,
in general,
I've got a question.
Legos, sorry, go ahead.
I was into I wasn't into Bionicle when I was little, but I was into the other one. They're like Hero Factories or something. They're like off-brand Bionicle. I don't know if you've ever heard
We're done.
I'm
sorry. This interview's over. Goodbye.
Oh, that was it. That did it.
Yeah, see,
Thank you for joining Builds with Bloks.
I've never said that on social media because I see Bionicle fans hate Hero Factory.
Yeah.
Why?
I can going very briefly. Essentially, Hero Factory replaced Bionicle at the end of its life. Bionicle was canceled in 2008, I believe. 2008 or 2009. It might be 2009, but anyway. 2009 because it was 8 years. So, and then Hero Factory was the series that kind of picked up the style of building and that
legacy. I loved Hero Factory.
Yeah.
I just never. I guess it was when it was out was when I was little and interested, so I never got time to get into Bionicle. But I was going to ask, like, how long has Bionicle been around? Because you said it was like 2002?
It started in 2001, so actually the same year as Halo.
Wow.
Opposite end. Like, it launched in Europe at the start of the year, and then it came over to the United States in July of that year. Okay. Yeah, July, I'm pretty sure.
That's super cool.
And they did shows and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
Not for Bionicle, actually.
Oh, they didn't? Okay.
Yeah, like, if you ever want to talk about, like, if you ever think Halo's lore is confusing, like, if you wanted to get the full story of Bionicle, you had to get the comic, you had to watch the TV commercials, you had to read the online serials, man. You had to get the books, you had to get the like another half a dozen things. There were so many avenues for engaging with the lore, but you had to engage with all of it to get a cohesive picture of Bionicle's story.
It's so popular today still. Like,
yeah,
huge. Like, I go on Instagram all the time and, like, you know, my suggested or something, it's just pages of Bionicle stuff. I had no idea it was such a big franchise.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess if you call it that.
It was a very lore-dedicated series because at the time Lego was, like, going through monetary issues, and, like, they had these Star Wars sets that were really doing really good for them, and it's like, hey, we want to have a set series that we're not licensing, you know, that we're not that we can, like, make all the direct profits off of. And, you know, long story short, that eventually led to Bionicle with all this deep lore, and there's all the backstory on how Bionicle came about itself, just like the meta lore, is fascinating in its own right.
That's cool.
Because of those early.
And I'm sure when you're young too, like one of the reasons I really like Halo is because there's so many different ways to absorb it. And so if you're younger and you like say, oh, there's a Bionicle thing over there, I want to, you know, and there's a comic, and all, like, if there's lots of different media out there, that kind of adds to the collection aspect of it too.
Oh yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, it was popular enough at one point that Lego's, like, membership dedicated magazine, Brickmaster, I don't know if it's still around now, but back in the day, Bionicle was popular enough that they were hawking subscriptions by saying, "Hey, you get a free Bionicle comic with your Brickmaster." It's like, so yeah, my Brickmaster magazine would come in. It's like, awesome, Bionicle comic. No, I read the magazine as well because I was a Lego head at big time. But
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the big reason was definitely those comics.
So Bionicle, so you built, right? So you bought the sets to build, and then at what point? Well, obviously, you know, timing wise, it had to be when Mega Bloks came out. Do you remember the first set that you actually grabbed? Were you still into kind of Bionicle or the building Lego stuff, or were you? You know, we all have our dark days, right? So, had you taken a break and then be like, I used to like this sort of stuff. I'm gonna grab.
I don't remember the exact year, but I know it was still. I was still actively collecting Bionicles, so probably somewhere in between 2004 and 2006. I won't go into the details because that'll make everything longer, but around 2006 or 07 is when I stopped collecting Bionicle. But at some point in that time frame, my grandma, you know, she obviously knew that I liked Lego and building stuff, so she bought a Mega Construx set for me. I think it was for Easter, like, so basically the Easter equivalent of a stocking stuffer.
Yep.
And you know, I still like to just build things. Like, I just briefly, because you were talking about my own history with like constructions. I used to, like, I've been building pretty much as long as I can remember, because my dad was a Lego nerd as well. We'd go, like, every Saturday we'd go to Toys R Us, God rest its soul.
Really,
and buy like some new set or just bricks to build a bunch of stuff. It was so much fun. But
that's awesome. Good dad.
My parents were pretty awesome. Even if I didn't always appreciate it when I was a kid.
Right.
Anyway, what was it? So she bought me this Mega Construx set, and I'm like, oh, I've never heard of this, but you know, I'll try building it. It looks cool, and I'm unboxing it. I start building it, and like 3 steps in, the pieces break.
Oh no!
In my as I'm assembling them.
Was it so it was Mega Bloks back then. Was it a Halo set, or was it just one of their other, like the Dragon sets, or one of the other stuff? Do you remember?
I couldn't tell you what set it was, because this was, like I said, probably like 15 plus years ago now.
Okay, so it was before Halo came out then, probably.
Yeah. I think it was probably a Sci-Fi figure, though. She probably thought it was like Bionicle Tangent or Halo Tangent or something like that.
Yeah.
But,
Tom,
she just
maybe it was
that
one
I
of those alien sets.
It very well could have been.
Possible, yeah.
But I started building this, and it broke in my hand. It's my little, like, teenager hands, and...
Oh, no.
Yeah, that basically soured me to Mega Bloks pretty much until whatever year the Scarab set came out, because that's when I got back in.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That was my, like, what,
2014?
2014, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. It's my first Mega Construx set, or Mega Bloks, it was still at the time.
Yeah.
Since that original issue with them was the Mega Construct, the Mega Bloks Scarab.
What
by the time a bunch of people have been telling me, like, hey, they've gotten better, they've, we can attest to this. And then I bought it. I still have issues, like almost every big set I have is missing a piece. I don't know why that is. That is just my luck. It's only been with the sets this year that I haven't been missing pieces, I'm happy to say.
Well,
good.
Cool.
But like my Scarab missed a piece, so I managed to like kind of assemble a replacement essentially with the few of the spares. That Halo 5 Phantom was missing a piece. I bought the Seraph Fighter, that was missing a piece. Oh no, you know what? I bought the Energy Sword this year, and that was missing a piece.
Was it? Oh man.
Yeah. No, not the Energy Sword. Yeah. I did.
Yeah, I haven't heard for the most
Christmas,
part, and that's something we'll talk about. But for the most part, the last few years have been pretty good, and not much.
Yeah, Mega definitely has been getting a lot better. Credit where absolutely credit, and like I wouldn't keep buying it if I wasn't enjoying the construction. Yep. Even once I first got back into Mega Bloks, one of my big issues when I got the Scarab, and I think even up through like 2016 or so, I did not like the way that they ordered their bags. Like you basically had to open all the bags and just figure out what's what. And then more recently, they have the numbered bags, and I'm very happy that they've gone down that route.
So do you know the history on that?
I do not. No. Tom? I just remember some conversations.
So I think it was up until very recently, in the past couple of years, Lego had actually patented other construction companies being able to basically sequentially separate pieces in a construction set. So no other construction brands could do it. And some of the smaller ones who perhaps wouldn't get the PR attention were kind of getting away with it on the fly. But that patent expired, and now everyone can do it. So a lot of companies have finally stepped their quality up with numbered bags.
Thank goodness. And darn you, Lego.
Yeah.
That has got to be one of the stupidest patents I have ever heard of. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you start with a set like a Scarab as well, that's 3,000 pieces, and you have to have them all laid out before you start building.
Oh my god, yeah. I was taking up a huge portion of my parents' basement for like a week straight because of like I had to lay out all these pieces, and I'd be walking around the tables and trying to figure things out. Oh.
Yeah. So like Lego brought us a lot of good things, but then they also kind of did the competitive lockdown thing. So, and that's what's one of the reasons people have had probably bad experiences with Mega Bloks in the past, is because of that fact, right? But it wasn't their fault. It was, they had to do what they had to do, right? They couldn't do it.
Yeah, that really changes my perspective on some of those, like, once I got back into Mega Bloks, my experience is like, oh, well, that explains a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
I imagine it must be, like, so... And I don't want to jump the gun because I know we will talk about it later, but when it comes to missing pieces, that has been a fundamental issue throughout the kind of early years in Mega. I wonder if it's harder to organise it when you don't have specific bags for the parts to go in as well. Like, surely it must be a lot more difficult to keep track of all the inventory of that set.
I certainly wouldn't be surprised. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's talk about, so you said you have the Scarab. Is that like the crown jewel of your collection, your Mega Bloks, Mega Construx collection, or are there any other sets that you really, appreciate? Those are still on the shelf.
Unfortunately, none of them are on the shelf, and that's simply due to my living space.
Sure.
Pretty much, I buy a Mega Construx set, I build it, and then it has to go straight into my storage unit because I just unfortunately do not have the space to put them up.
Yep.
If I did, you could bet the Scarab would be up there. The Pelican from last year, that was amazing. That was such a fun build. Yes, that I think has probably been my favorite build. Second, maybe or like possibly tied with the Phantom, the Halo 5 Phantom, because that just that was so cool. The functionality there, and of course the way you could display it, like it's flying in to land and drop off some troops.
Oh, you're talking about
the Spirit?
The Spirit. Did I say Phantom?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant Spirit. Yeah. So those two are two of my probably favorite set. Yeah, they are.
I really wish I picked that one up. That was like
same.
I think we got the Mammoth, and then I know we got the Infinity later. But I think the UK never got the Spirit as a set that was available. So I kept looking at it on Amazon.com and I was like, it's gone down in price with the import fees. It's just about retail. Can I justify it?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it'll go down in price again. It's fine. And then it just disappeared.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I was like,
dude. Feels bad.
I have the Spirit, but I got it second hand, but it's in box. And it's in storage, so I'm crossing my fingers that it is complete. Hopefully, when I get it.
You open it and the figures are just gone.
Yeah.
The Spirit is the only signature series I don't have. I finally located a Forward Unto Dawn.
Yeah.
I've always had the Mammoth. I've always had the Infinity and the Scarab, but I've never seen a Spirit in person.
I definitely want to get the Forward Unto Dawn. Like that when I got the Scarab and started getting back into Mega Bloks and eventually Mega Construx, my biggest regret was like looking back. It's like, oh man, I missed out on like the Vulture and the Mammoth, and oh my god, I wish I'd done the Forward Unto Dawn especially.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. I feel like when I started collecting, it was actually a pretty good time. I think it was like 2017, 2018, and there's still stuff hadn't gone ridiculous, so I was able to kind of locate a bunch of stuff for pretty close to what it was originally priced, or cheaper. I got I got my Scarab out of a back of a guy's truck, literally.
Hey, get it where you can get it.
Station wagon, but I have it. So
a Scarab's a Scarab. Yeah, there you go.
All right, so let's see. What else do we want to? Oh, so lore stuff. Obviously, that's your bag. And they have write-ups and things like that, right? And some of the instructions and whatnot.
Yeah.
So do you pay much attention to how they treat the lore? Obviously, lore has many different aspects, right? It's like the look of the figures, the look of the vehicles that they're trying to represent, all that sort of stuff. How much stock do you put into that aspect of it, or is it more for you? Is it just like, oh, that's a Warthog, I want the Warthog on my shelf?
It's more the latter. Like I just for me with Mega Construx, it's all about the build. It's just it's very much nostalgia, going back to those days, those simpler times of just being able to build something. Yeah. And I mean, that's not entirely restricted just to Mega, but just or to Mega Bloks or the like, but being able to build it. Like I think the first time I really paid attention to any of the lore that they were including was that Master Chief Collection sets. Yeah. And during my unboxing video, I read out on the lore that they included with it. And I think I said at one point, it's like they said like the Mark V is the suit that Chief had for most of his career. That's wrong. Yeah.
So do you? And this is a question kind of for Gabe and Tom also, is Gabe and Tom have an eye for, like, they look at a figure and like, oh, that's, the armor from Reach or whatever else, but it doesn't have this quite right. So do you have an eye for that when you're looking at figures or the design of the different vehicles? And does it like, I don't know, bother you if it doesn't like mesh well with what the set's supposed to represent?
It doesn't bother me at all, but I do like paying attention to some of those. I don't know if you like, not necessarily inconsistencies, but oddities, I guess,
Sure.
might be the best way. But you know, like every Spartan still uses it. At least it looks like. I might be misremembering on the newer sets, but they like all use the Halo 4 and 5 undersuit, and the elites are all the 343 era elites. And I think even the grunts are still the 343 grunts, maybe, but neither here nor there. But like it's like oh. I don't blame them for reusing the same molds. Like, there's no real reason to change it. And I'll be honest, seeing Reach stuff with my favorite undersuit design does not disappoint me at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like,
so you don't necessarily put a ton of stock
if I could have gone back to Halo
into
2 and Halo CE and just say, okay, you're just using the Halo 4 and 5 undersuit retroactively. We're retconning that. Let's do that. That's my point of view on it.
Gotcha.
I mean, like,
go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, because there's definitely certain times where I look at like for the Infinite Chief figure that you gotta know him by now, but the Infinite Chief figure, I look at it and I'm like, okay, I mean, there's so many different pieces I would have used to construct it other than what they used to do it, but I mean, like you said, Ian, like with the undersuits for, because Mega only has one. Well, no, technically they have two. One was for Spartan Lock, but they never use it anymore. So all the Spartans have. There's just the one, and then the elites have the one. But I mean, I don't mind that at all, because as long as the pieces look well and they fit well, like that looks cool. But yeah, I mean, like certain times I look at things, I'm like, that's the choice we're going with. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I won't lie. That's happened a couple times, I'm sure. I can't remember. I couldn't tell you specifically with what, but I definitely, like, in my head I remember like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
Like, okay.
So something we talked about recently was on our Flood show, and it was the Flood Siege set, and it's Flood, but in more of like a Reach setting. So it has like the Mac Cannon, and it's got like a couple Flood elites that are like in hazmat orange. It's got a little mongoose, like the set was never really represented in the game at all, but they kind of mashed a bunch of like cool Halo stuff together. So it's a good set, but for some reason, it's like, oh man, like they could have done a cool Flood set on a different setting. Like, why did they choose this stuff? But meanwhile, we got a Mac Cannon out of it, which is cool, which we didn't have before.
True that.
And stuff like that. So so none of that stuff, like, do you think about that at all when you see a set? Do you like evaluate what's in the box, or is it more just like, oh, it's a representation of Halo stuff that I like?
For the most part, my general thoughts are like, it's just something cool. But or in another sense, I guess, I actually really love that about the Mega sets. Like they just have the freedom to do kind of whatever the heck they want, and it'll at times sometimes you like get representations of Spartan teams, for example, that we otherwise don't get visualized. I can't remember what the Spartan.
If you say Fireteam Crimson, I swear
there's Fireteam Crimson.
There is a Fireteam Crimson. Yeah, Shadow. I think was the one I was thinking of. But you get representations of teams you otherwise don't get to see, or you just get to see kind of what ifs. Like one of the coolest I remember of the older sets is the Flood infected Cyclops. It's like,
yes.
You'll never get to see that in game, but that's just kind of a cool thing. Or like a few times Mega has gotten to actually reveal certain like vehicles from the Halo universe, like the UNSC motorcycle, whatever that was called.
The Siege Bike.
Way back when. The Siege Bike or the Quad Walker. It's like, I'm actually pretty sad that none of that has appeared in any media. It's like not a comic, not a book especially, but it's like, oh, these cool extra concepts that we can look at.
They mentioned it. Was it Kelly Gabe? I think Kelly Gabe mentioned Reapex at one point in one of her books.
Yeah, Reapex is directly mentioned in... God, what? I'm actually trying to remember now. I can't remember if it was Kelly Gay or if it was...
It was Troy or Kelly.
I think it was Kelly Gay. I think it was Kelly Gay with a direct shout out. But then you also have the Troy Denning books, like Halo Last Light had the 717th Xeno Materials Archaeology Group, and I'm like, that's got to be Reapex, right? That's like Reapex without saying Reapex.
Yeah. That whole series is kind of fun. To explore. I think we'll do a show on that eventually.
We got the
VTOL out of it.
Then...
Yeah. The VTOL got turned into the Kestrel in Spartan Strike.
Yeah.
So I mean, Mega does some...
Oh yeah, so there's a good
All of that stuff was so cool.
I was thinking about your question, Colin, about like mixing aspects of things, like a Flood Cyclops. While I think that's cool, I just wish I wish there were more people that knew that Mega has free will. Because especially now at the days of waiting for Infinite, there are so many people that take Mega just as it is. And they're like, okay, this character's coming back in the game.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. That's not how that works at all. Please hold on. And I always try to make sure to make a tweet and be like, oh, hey guys, that's not what this is. But
that has been a very fine line to walk.
They just ignore it. They're like, oh, no, this vehicle's coming back. And I'm like,
and then they're going to be disappointed when Halo Infinite comes out. And it's like, why isn't this here? It was in the damn toys.
Yeah. They take it
because it's a toy.
The toy showed it, and then 343 gets flack for it. And I'm like, guys, you're setting yourself up to expect these things.
Yeah.
And it's just because they don't understand that Mega is... I mean, Cat. The first official Cat figure came with a Halo 3 Chopper and a Halo 3 Brute.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, they just mix these things, and I wish more people were aware of that, so it wasn't always like, oh, it's confirmed. It's like
that's something I
not.
really, that's something I really try to have been trying, especially over the last couple of years, is just try to emphasize. Yeah. It's like, this might point to this in Infinite, but guys, this is Mega. They have a lot of freedom. I think my favorite example recently was when the Warthog set was announced, and then they had the boat alternative, and everyone's like, oh my god, boat combat. It's like, no, guys, it's just a reference to the pre-CE boat. It's really cool. I bought a second Warthog set specifically so I could build the boat and have the boat and the Warthog. But it's like, come on, guys. Come on.
Gabe, what did you call the boat hog again?
I called it the what did I call it? The Aqua Hog?
Yeah.
I like boat hog, the Aqua Hog. Those are good.
There you go.
But how good would combat on a lake or something like that? That would be
boat hog would be cool.
I'd be
if Spartans
open
didn't sink to the bottom.
Well, actually, Spartans float. If you remember Valhalla.
That's right.
You know what? You're right. I literally saw that the other day while I was playing. I was like, am I floating in the... Bro, come here. Am I floating in the water?
And there's actually lore to explain, there's I think it's the hydrostatic gel layer can change its density so it becomes light enough to cause the Spartan in there. I almost said fartin.
The fartin. That'll make you float too, won't it?
No, it lets the Spartan, even in their half-ton armor, float so that they're not, like you said, sinking to the bottom of an ocean.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
There's been some underwater stuff in one of the comics, I think, too, wasn't there? Sorry, we're way off topic. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about lore. Lots of really good lore stuff that we can dive into more, and we probably will on some other shows as well. But we want to talk about kind of where Mega was originally, and there were a lot of people that were turned off, at the beginning. And so I guess a question, Ian, before we dive into this too much, is have you since gone back? So you started with kind of the Scarab, and then you probably collected some stuff since then. Have you then gone back to the early day sets and picked up some of those for your collection as well?
Unfortunately not, and that's simply been because of price point. I have not been able to find them at anything close to even a reasonable price. Everything is $800, $900, $1,000 from those days.
For the big sets, but
because that's mainly what I look for is the big. I'm not personally all that interested in I talked about how cool it is that there's the Flood Cyclops or the various Spartan teams, but for me that's never been something that's all that attractive or something I want to go out of my way to get, especially going back to earlier sets. I want to get the NMPD attack or whatever that one was, or the mammoth or whatever. I want to get the big sets, and those are all super expensive if you want to try to find them.
So maybe, and I didn't ask this yet. So what makes a set appealing to you specifically? They've done a ton of Warthogs. You said the Scarab, obviously, but why are you picking one set over another one? Did you grab the Skiff that came out recently?
I did.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I've been grabbing like everything. Like I've definitely warmed up to a lot of things more recently. What attracts me, like there's a couple main things. Like one, if it's recognized, like I picked up the Blue Team and Fire Team Osiris collection
nice.
sets.
Yeah.
I'm planning to get
now.
that 20th anniversary one later this year. So like if it's like these big like character pieces, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, that will definitely get my attention. Or if we're talking about the individual minifigures, like if it's a unique enemy or like that hasn't come out yet, like I picked up the Elite General I mentioned, or if it's a named character, I like to get those. Not so much the like, oh, it's CQC Spartan or Gungnir Spartan.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for me.
Ian, it's
But
Gungnir.
the other big fact,
It's Gungnir.
Gungnir. Yeah, it should be Gungnir.
Gungnir.
Yeah. But the other big thing is build time. Like if I'm gonna be spending a bunch of time building it, that's like the big attractor for me. That's
Okay.
why I like those bigger sets. Just because the build is the most fun part for me.
Yeah. So you're a builder at heart. So
Yeah.
So the newer stuff, and let's just talk about it now. So the newer stuff, like the recent stuff, have you noticed a difference from when those 2014 type sets? Have you noticed a difference in the intricacy of the build? You said you had the sword, which is a cool build, the energy sword.
Oh, yeah.
And the skiff has that, the little twisting ability and things like that. Have you kind of been picked up on the fact that, I'm going to buy this because it's not only Halo, but the quality has increased, especially recently.
Yeah, the quality has noticeably gone up, and I'm very happy about that. I don't know about if I've noticed the intricacy has necessarily gone up, but that might also be my perspective. Because, like I said, I mostly got, especially when I was just getting back into Mega, I was getting like the bigger sets, which naturally have a lot of intricacy already.
Yeah.
And so, at least among
Fair
those,
point.
I don't know. I can't say I've noticed any sort of change.
But like, think
Like, I
about the
will say-
Pelican. Like, there's a lot of little
like-
additions to the Pelican that probably wouldn't have been there if you go back 3-4
Yeah.
years or even further.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. In that regard, absolutely. And or heck, just like the Mongoose. I don't know. I never got any of the earlier Mongoose sets, but I picked up the more recent one, and you can make it turn by like it's got an actual like swivel the body or whatever. Or you talked about there's the gear function in the skiff. Those are definitely big pluses. Like, I guess I get to talk about it after all. One of the big reasons I stopped collecting Bionicle is in 2006 and 2007, they stopped focusing on functionality and it all became about posability. One of my favorite things, I don't care if it's a simple arm swing or twisting of the torso, one of my favorite things is gear functionality or some kind of functionality in whatever I'm building. And if I'm just building something to look cool, that I'm not necessarily going to say no, but it kind of devalues the set to me.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to, like, especially in a construction set. It's like I don't want to just build this. I want it to do something cool.
Yeah, it's
Like,
the playability factor.
Yes, exactly. There you go. That pretty much is it. Like, I'm not going to play with it myself, but just the fact that I can go and do stuff with it is enough. If I want a statue, I'll go buy a statue.
Right.
That's not what I'm buying.
Or like a model,
True.
right? Like there's that the whole model
yeah.
collection, which is like, okay, this is a representation, but this is truly just going to sit on the shelf. I can't open the doors and all this other stuff. It just looks cool. But the building is part of it, right?
Yep.
I'm interested. From that perspective then? What did you think of the way Mega handled the Pelican and how it opens up to let you kind of have that E3 demo interior?
That was the cool. Like, I was gonna get that regardless, just because it's like, this is gonna be a monster build. But when I saw that image of it opened up, I'm like, okay. Like,
need.
I don't know. Is this how PG is this show? Like, there's a
more on the PG side.
Okay, then I won't. There's an Archer quote that I'm thinking of. You guys can probably imagine, and maybe some of your audience can too, but I won't say it.
Yeah, that thing it's beautiful. I
stop already. I'm already impressed.
Yeah, really.
So
okay, so let's go back then a little bit further, and maybe I guess I'm gonna throw this to Tom about some of the earlier days. of like articulation and things like that, and maybe some some of the positives and negatives. Because when I look at the and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the kind of the first iteration of the figure, but the articulation wasn't quite as good as it is now. But the paint jobs, I feel like I've become to appreciate those a lot more. Like the level of care that they put into the actual figure was as good, if not better, back then, from my perspective now, kind of looking back. But just like the functionality and articulation wasn't possible just because of the mold of the figure at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so where do you want me to take that?
Well, I want to kind of take you about so we're talking about kind of the evolution, right, and like the quality of the sets. So talk about when the sets first came out.
Yeah,
was that seen as an issue at all? Like, was the articulation that they've evolved to something that they needed to fix, or was that just kind of, was it just the Mega Construct that we had, or Mega Block that we had at the time?
So I think it was kind of twofold, and Gabe, you'll probably agree with this. The first thing was the articulation. You couldn't really get a figure to shoulder a weapon, so a lot of the time, and if you look at some of Mega's animations like Assault on Squad 45, it's like figures holding the gun out straight with one hand.
Yeah, you kind of just have to take it and go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, I mean, a Spartan probably
like a full
could
rocket
do that,
launcher, just bang, 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 bang.
So yeah, you kind of just had like that limited posability. But also back then, they weren't necessarily as conscious of the proportions of the weapons. So a really good example is the original MA5. It's huge. Like, this weapon, the ammo counter and the grip are just massive in comparison to figures. And if you put them in a new figure's kind of hands, it just looks ridiculous. So I think that was a concern back then for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, clearly they're just trying to capture Halo CE aesthetic.
Right.
Everything's of course. The grenade bigger than Master Chief's head.
No. Well, the Magnum's like the actually shotgun. Just the size of the figure.
Tom, do you remember the shotgun?
Oh.
The original Mega Bloks shotgun is bigger than a figure is tall.
No way.
I think I might have one.
So, like, there's no way for the figure to...
Oh, God, Tom's gone. We lost him.
Okay, so I can show you... Massive. I don't think I've got a shotgun in here, but I can show you the original assault rifle. So, it's not really... Can I, like... Is it good? No? Oh,
I'll grab some images.
I can get... Yeah, I can get a pretty good...
We'll put them up in so people can imagine,
But yeah, the shotgun was bigger than this.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally like a weapon like this, but it's huge.
Like, the stock was the length of the figure's forearm, so it couldn't, like, hold it properly.
Oh, man,
yeah. For real.
But yeah, I think that was an issue back then, but also kind of more broadly back then. I think there were sort of pros and cons with the figures, because like you say, there were a lot more paint applications, I'd argue, especially when it comes to black wash, so making the figure look battered, kind of having a lot of depth to the armour rather than it just looking clean as if it's come out of an armour bay. And the other positive, Gabe, you'd probably noticed this, is because there wasn't the interchangeable armour system as well, it meant that any time there was kind of a new Spartan type, everything would be sculpted, because they would have to capture that aesthetic, whereas now they will reuse a lot more pieces. So a good example on kind of that sort of higher quality I always think of is the original Floodgate set that had the Halo 3 Marine. The Halo 3 Marines in that set actually have their camos painted on their trousers. They've got different patterns camouflage. And obviously that's something that we never saw on the super articulated versions. So there is a lot of balance there in terms of quality of paintwork, accuracy to the on-screen reference material. But obviously, if you switch that, you don't have nearly as much playability. You can't really interchange as much in the way of armour. And you also don't have as much posability. And I think if Matt was here, he'd probably argue that they'd be a lot harder to do stop motions with as well.
Oh, yeah. That's why, like, the old Mega Bloks stop motions are so impressive, is knowing how those figures function and how they felt, and still even being able to see like how well they made them perform at a stop motion level was, I appreciate them a lot more.
Yeah.
Also, compared to now, because I mean, the new figures you can do anything with. They can almost properly shoulder all of the new weapons. You can swap pieces, the shoulders, the thighs, the feet. There's robot arms. Like, I don't know. It makes me appreciate classic Mega a lot more.
Yeah. There is an interesting note, actually, I just thought of, which is quality, in terms of quality control. Because a few of the classic figures, and I remember this particularly with the ODST drop pods, the plastic was a little bit more brittle. So I know I've had a few figures where the ball joints for the heads have just snapped entirely, and it's like an Elite's come along and just like sliced it, or it's just like
the
fallen
same
off.
For a lot of the old figures. I don't know if you had this problem, any of you guys, but I mean, like, the hands were so brittle, and with a lot of those big weapons, there were some cases where they were just like a little bigger than the other one, and then you put it in the hand would just snap, and then you've got some dude with like, hey, and then I'm like, okay, I mean, all right.
So I think if we were to summarize it, the old ones are probably more accurate to the source material in some ways, a little bit more detailed, but less robust and less posable.
Right.
Yeah. It's a trade-off that I think has ultimately been for the better for the sets.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I definitely always regret the loss of detail, but at the same time, like, when you look at what you're gaining, and it's like, if there's no way to have both at the same time, well, I think I'll take the robustness. I'll take the posability, and the interchanging armor pieces over the detail if I have to.
And they have come a long way. I mean, if you look at that first Heroes wave, I don't know if you got any of them at the time, Ian. It was the wave with like ODST Buck, Spartan Veil, all of those characters.
And Chief.
I might have.
Cool. Yeah, they were kind of like on the cusp of just being figures pulled from sets more so than anything else. But now if you look at Heroes, I mean, with the latest wave that's upcoming, the Trailblazer, who's got like this digital camouflage all printed across his chest plate, that kind of detail stuff that we would have never seen back in the olden days. It feels so weird saying it like that.
Yeah.
But
I have to take your word for it, because I've never unboxed any of that stuff. It's all like the figures are all still in box. I'm that kind of collector.
Oh yeah, love it.
I was going to ask you, are there any figures on the shelf for you, or is it really everything tucked away? Do you
Unfortunately, everything. If they're just the individual figures, if I ever have the shelf space, I will never take them out of box. Like, I still have all the old Halo 4 and 5, McFarlane figures.
Nice.
Never unboxed them. Back when I could display those, never unboxed them.
Wow. Okay.
Huh.
So it's more of like a true collection for you.
I'm very much a pure collector in that regard.
Gotcha. So when will those be able to breathe in Ian's lifetime?
When I am not in a small 2-room apartment.
Okay. So you will take them out eventually when you have a display space.
True.
If I have the space, like, they'll probably be lower on the priority. Like, I want to get my books out. Like, those are like the only, like, some of the last things that I actually have here with me. But even they're in their own boxes in my closet. I have nowhere to put them. I need them on hand for reference, whereas everything else has to go to a storage unit for now. But, like, eventually I'd like to, get a better place and have some actual shelves to put things up, my books, my games, my consoles, and
Museum
of course,
2.0.
I want to have my own personal mini Halo museum at some point.
I love it. Yeah. So do you feel like you've amassed a pretty good collection then over the years?
I'm pretty proud of my collection. Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have any pictures of it?
I have a video from back in 2014, probably, that's on my channel. It was just called My Halo Collection, and it was a surprisingly popular video, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I just basically took my camera through my childhood room and showed off all the Halo stuff that I had up at the time.
That's awesome.
Sadly, there was no Mega Construx in there because I think that was pre-Scarab. So So whenever that came out, the video came out before that.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
But as you talked about, like the Scarab is the one that really got you into it.
That's what relaunched my interest.
That's also a viable thing to add to my collection. Those Mega Bloks, Mega Construx sets. I don't want just the action figures or the art or all that other stuff. I want to add these guys also, which is cool.
I think it's really cool hearing that was what hooked you in as well, because I think a lot of the time, at least when you kind of collect it, like you basically breathe Mega Construx, it's easy to think that those kinds of big sets are kind of things that they're just doing for people to collect, and who like have got all of the other stuff essentially. So it's really cool to think actually those big items can be a stepping on point for people as well. Because I think at least for us it's really easy to think that actually people will start with a small set and then kind of like escalate from there, as opposed to going top down. So it's really cool seeing that sort of alternate story in your case.
I think most people probably would do like smaller sets and build up. I just had the benefit or experience with like smaller sets from again mostly Bionicle and Lego related stuff, but so the big sets became the more appealing aspect of it.
Because you wanted to build it, right? Like you wanted to
especially as I'm like getting on in life, it's like my priorities change on what it is.
That makes sense. Well, let's look a little bit at the future. We went we had our own predictions episode where we talked about what we want actually later this year from Mega, and we'll learn about that soon as this hits, what the new sets will be. A couple of them have dropped, but Ian, what would you be looking for from Mega? Like, it doesn't have to be this year. We don't know quite what's Infinite yet, what's in there, but what kind of sets or what vehicles or what figures have you thought about what you would want to see on shelf, or what you want to add to your collection that's a construction set?
I would love to see like some of the older, like maybe Halo Wars stuff kind of return, like some of those less common vehicles from Halo reappear again. It's like, I think I mentioned earlier, like, I really missed out on the Vulture, and that's one of the coolest vehicles. I'd love to see that return. But I'd love to see like some of these older sets kind of get like a second chance at life, so to speak, or like a new take on them. I'm honestly trying to think. Like this year represents kind of like my biggest investment in Mega Construx yet, and because I've pretty much gotten all the sets that have come out so far.
Okay,
like from big to small, it's just been much more for whatever reason. It's just been much more interesting to get into them now.
Some hype probably, I'm sure.
Yes, right? I'm sure. And I honestly hope it doesn't go away, because it's been great. Like even just like spending time building all the random bags or the blind bags was so much fun, more than I thought it would be.
Speaking of like Halo Wars, like the Grizzly would be pretty rad.
Yes, I'd love to see
yes.
Yeah.
I want to see them redo the Gremlin.
Okay,
that's a
neat little vehicle.
I'd love to see them like dive back into like the either Oni Reap X directly or stuff like that, like these sets that have never previously been visualized, or even like they're premiering, so to speak, with Mega Bloks, whatever that may be. Stuff like that.
I feel like they're doing a little of that with the 2-in-1 builds.
Absolutely.
They're able to get a little creative and say, oh, well, what if we did this? They're not adding lore specifically to it. But, we talked about the boat. There's a couple other things. Isn't there like a little crawler thing that one of them turns into?
Yeah. I don't remember which set that is, but
So I was going to ask, on the back of kind of seeing stuff visualized that we've not seen before, I know that Mega have kind of dabbled with the expanded lore a little bit, and Colin, I said to you this was one thing I was excited to touch on. So they did a set based on Halo Nightfall. They did the Smuggler's Intercept, which is...
You mean this set here that I have sealed?
It's out of focus, blurry, but we'll take it.
I'll get a better picture. I literally just pulled this out the other day, and it's sealed. Like, it's never even been.
Wow.
That's funny that you mentioned that.
That's beautiful.
So they did that. They did Chief from Forward Unto Dawn and a couple of other characters. Would you like to see them do more stuff like that from the expanded lore as well?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Those characters.
like as you were talking about this, I was like, one thing I'd love to see. This would be like, I think even like a perfect 10th anniversary set, but that they probably had that stuff planned out for years by now. Yeah. But anyway, basically like a Master Chief, like Mark V AI integration test set straight out of Halo: The Fall of Reach. Like you have Master Chief and a few ODSTs, some machine gun turrets, and then the big like centerpiece would be. It wasn't the Sparrowhawk. It might have just been the Hawk. I can't remember the name of the vehicle that nearly like killed Master Chief in that storyline. Yeah, and then deflected the missile. Oh my god, such a great moment. But yeah. I'd love to see like stuff like that stuff like that would be kind of visualized would be kind of cool, or like have a set built around like these moments from the books would be really cool. Mm-hmm. Heck, going back to the Oni Reap X angle, go give me some sets from Gao and dude, I just thought about this. Keeper sets. Give me Keepers of the One Freedom. Yeah. Give me Keepers of the One Freedom in Mega Bloks form.
That would be
my
sick.
God. I would die of joy.
Kevin MCX earlier this year or late last year, and he is a fan of the lore and he's read a bunch of the books and whatnot, so I'm sure as he's one of the lead designers, he has a bunch of that stuff in mind. I'm sure they go back and we know they go back and forth with 343, so they want it to be well-known stuff, but that would be cool if they dove into some stats. They you could do well-known vehicles but in that lore setting, right? Stuff like that. That's a special, like that's one of my favorite aspects of Mega. We already touched on that. So you can do all this stuff that you can't normally do in other places. So that's a great idea. Like do some kind of set with some known vehicle, but then it's Keepers of the One Freedom versus Spartan 4s or Spartan 3s. Oh my God, Ferret Team. Keepers and Ferret Team. Keepers and Ferret Team. Just thinking of all this stuff.
This is the energy we like from this show.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Getting into it.
Well, and it's such more doable too, right? At this scale versus, even like the Jazzware stuff that is a bigger scale for them to put the effort behind something like that and maybe it not to do as well as they would want, where you can... you can keep it small. You can maybe do a couple little small sets. If they do well, then you can build from there. That'd be cool.
Amen.
Awesome. Anything else? So I want to talk a little bit about E3 because that's coming up, and by the time this airs, it will be very soon. Anything else you guys want to cover on before we just talk about that quick?
No, I'm ready to dive into E3. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So. Ian, I'm very curious what you're expecting from E3 or any inklings, I guess, from Halo Infinite. What do you want to see, or what are you expecting to see in the new game?
At least at E3 this year, I'm thinking we're probably just, and I just actually put out a video as of recording this a couple hours ago now.
We were just talking about it earlier.
Exactly, because of the image that released from Xbox. But I imagine we're probably going to see that rumored Big Team Battle 2.0 with tons of vehicle combat and apparently pelicans dropping in vehicles or something like that, or pelican drops or something like that. It was trying to remember the rumors that they're spreading earlier this year, but like they talked about pelican drops in a lot of vehicle combat. So that I want to see what that's about. I hope we get like at least a campaign trailer just to kind of show an update of how it looks. Maybe some a fresh look at Escharum and maybe some spotlights on what are they called, the Hand of Atriox. The Hand of Atriox.
Yeah. Jagger Redomni, please.
Yeah, like just give us like a villain trailer or something.
Yeah.
That would be great. Especially with Escharum, that'd be a great way to show how things have progressed. Because I remember there was a lot of criticism of the way Escharum specifically looked.
Well, he had a lot of,
in terms of his textures.
Right.
So if you can do something else like that, another close-up moment with him, or just featuring him, that I think would go a long way to both hype people up, and show like, hey, we are looking a lot better, because you can show off the multiplayer and it might look great, but having something that directly contrasts with what we previously saw, aka the Escharum himself in campaign footage, that I think would be the best bet for 343 to walk away with positive reactions from the community this year.
Yeah. What about so have you formulated, and maybe you're going to do a video on this, have you formulated story predictions or anything like that in your mind? Like what factions we're going to see, any outcomes that you think might happen?
I have formulated what I'm worried will happen.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
And that is ultimately that whatever form Halo Infinite's story ultimately takes, it's going to end with, evil Cortana, Pax Cortana, as she's called in Shadows of Reach, which I thought was a really cool touch. Mm-hmm. She's going to be killed or wiped out or whatever, or possibly even reset and then replaced with this new Cortana, this CTN 0453-0 that we keep getting hinted, that keeps
right off
hinted
the dome.
So that's what I'm worried is going to happen. And then, from there it's like, oh, hey, we're back to Master Chief and Cortana trotting about a Halo ring. It's back to oh my God, that's worse. At least with Halo 5, I can justify it in my mind that it's an evil Cortana, made up from the rampant, personality spikes. It's not the Cortana we knew, so that it doesn't completely devalue Halo 4's amazing ending for me. But if Infinite does this, if that's what happens, that will kill a lot of my interest in the storytelling. I'll be honest.
Really?
Yes.
I've got a big vanilla. I've got a big fear.
It's basically just saying, like, there are no consequences. Nothing is meaningful. There's no narrative integrity anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes across as. It'd be no different than if Noble Six actually did come back to life, or Sergeant Johnson were suddenly back in there. I can justify what happens in Halo 5 because there's some lore that makes it fit, and I can think of some good ways why it makes sense and why there's some good parts of it, but I haven't found that angle with this concern that I've just laid out. So beyond that though, I'm hoping that the Prometheans are like a secret Act 2, Act 3 super villain of some kind. Basically the replacement for the Flood in terms of how they relate to the UNSC and Banished.
What about the Flood? What do you have thoughts on them? I mean,
I don't think they're going to appear in Vanilla Infinite. I think at best they might get teased. I'm certain we're going to get like audio logs talking about the relationship with the Flood in Installation 07, if not something more.
Right.
But I don't think we're going to see them directly. I don't think they're going to appear. At best, we might get a teaser, and then maybe 3 years down and 4 DLCs later or whatever, the Flood is back.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kind of like Awakening Season 5.
Yeah, basically.
What I was mentioning before was that one of my fears is about Osiris, because I know everybody's taken this. Everybody's seen Hyperius, and they've taken this and just ran with it. And while it's hard not to do that because the armor looks like Locke, but
it's Locke's armor, I guarantee.
I so desperately hope they didn't bring in this character. People got really riled up because he replaced Chief, and now they're going to kill him off like they did with Julam Daman.
Yeah.
I would want them to develop the character, and he doesn't need redeeming. I just want them to develop him and make him a stronger character in the story, other than,
or just find a home for him. Like, they gave him a certain personality, and that's fine, but just find a home for him to live within that.
I don't want any of them killed off.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that, though.
No, I was going to say,
understand
wasn't
the concern.
It your video where you were saying you think he's just lost his armor, but he might be off somewhere recuperating?
Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier about how you can't take mega constructs, I guess, for lack of a better word, too seriously or at face value, whatever. Because Brian Gerard, when that set originally leaked, the Hyperius image, he said, and they reiterate, like, I was reiterating again when the concept art came out, and John Unishek was coming around saying, like, yeah, right here and correct and whatnot whenever I would post this stuff. And it's like just don't read too much into it. So I think it's going to be a story point why he has Locke's armor, because I guarantee you that's Locke's armor. There's no way that's a misdirect.
Just
that
a blue hunter armor.
Yeah, and chest piece. I don't know if you saw that. They actually has the the concept art actually had his chest piece on there too.
Yeah.
But
they could have chosen any other helmet, but they chose that one specifically.
Yeah. Yep. So it's definitely there to set up certain expectations, but I think he's either going to just show up in new armor, we'll rescue him, or he'll just be incapacitated for the length of the game.
So we're running long, and we got to wrap here. I do have one more question though, Ian, just on the Halo front. So is Chief and or Cortana necessary for the future of Halo for you? I don't want to talk like marketing wise and like the I don't know, just general franchise. Maybe that's a different answer, but for you, does Chief and Cortana need to be around?
For me, no, absolutely not. In fact, just to go off on a brief tangent, I'll bring it back very quickly. When Halo 4 was announced back in 2011, I was actually disappointed. I was sighing at my screen. Like, oh, come on. We just had Reach and ODST. Keep doing that. Keep doing those spin-offs.
Side stuff,
yeah. So that's what I want. That's what I want Halo to eventually be. I want to finish Master Chief's story, whatever that form that takes. And then I want to branch out and explore different stories, either in past settings or in a new story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are on the same page as you, like a lot of Halo fans. But then I think there's the casual side that 343 is maybe not quite as confident to maybe take him away from, being the face of the franchise. So we'll see.
Yeah. Which I completely get. And I'm hoping that these next 10 years, because they've talked about wanting to do more spin-offs, that this next 10 years will be the opportunity to build up these new characters or get people used to the idea of playing as characters other than Master Chief.
You also have to consider, Steve Downes is getting older.
Don't say it, Gabe. Don't say it.
You gotta be realistic when considering, life isn't guaranteed. You don't know how much we won't have him forever. And I think with their 10-year plan, it would be a really good way to, like you said, Ian, it would be a good way to dip your toes in the water and get used to maybe trying out different things where Chief isn't the face of Halo in that title.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Ian, we got to wrap, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, man.
This has been
It's
great.
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, we got really exciting times ahead here. Pretty soon we'll know more, and then pretty soon we'll all be playing it, which will be hopefully a lot of fun, and hopefully new sets, right? Like that's hopefully lots of new sets, and I'm excited to see where they take it. So, all right, that'll do it for a show. Thanks for joining Builds with Blocks. If you like the show, feel free to support Podcast Evolved on Patreon, and Ian. Also, you on Patreon, right? So you are now full-time YouTube, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Well, good luck with that. So, definitely look up Halo Canon on Patreon. Support him as well. Until next time, evolved.
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 Canon.
Yeah.